There's something deeply unsettling about true silence. No cars, no voices, no reception, just trees, wind, and the creak of wood. That's what I was chasing when I booked a secluded cabin in the Oregon wilderness. But someone else was there, too. Someone who didn't want me to leave. And the scariest part? He had been waiting for someone like me. My name is Lucy Adams. I'm a 31-year-old filmmaker from Portland, Oregon, mostly independent, mostly underpaid, but I love what I do. I spend the bulk of my days hunched over editing timelines, tweaking color grades, and trying not to scream every time my laptop crashes. Last fall, I was working on a documentary series about abandoned structures in the Pacific Northwest, ghost towns, forgotten mills, and cabins overtaken by moss and time. To finish the final episodes, I needed quiet. No distractions. No noise. Just solitude and space to focus. I looked up remote cabins near the Umpqua National Forest and stumbled on a strange little listing, not on Airbnb, but an older site called Stay Local. No reviews. Just 3 grainy photos and a description that read: Private Woodland Retreat. Sleeps 1. Unplugged. Escape everything. Exactly what I wanted. The listing was run by someone named Carol Withers, who claimed to be the caretaker. I messaged her, and she replied within 20 minutes. You'll love it. Very quiet. Just you and the forest. No one around for miles. I'll leave the key inside the lockbox by the door. Codes 1117. No security deposit. No ID check. Just a PayPal link and a confirmation email. In retrospect, that should have been the first red flag. I left Portland on a Thursday morning, loaded with equipment, groceries, and way too much coffee. As I passed Eugene and curved toward the woods, the roads got thinner, the trees thicker. Around 3 p.m., I turned off the highway onto a gravel path my GPS didn't recognize. For the next 40 minutes, I didn't see a single car. Just forest stretching endlessly on either side. Eventually, I saw a hand-painted wooden sign nailed to a tree. Cabin 7 to 0.5 miles. I followed the path and pulled up to the cabin. It was old but sturdy. 2 stories, A-frame design, stone chimney, wooden deck out front. A rusted rocking chair sat motionless under the awning. Moss curled around the base of the walls like a creeping shadow. The lockbox opened easily. I stepped inside. The interior was rustic, but oddly clean. The furniture was mismatched, old floral print couches, wooden kitchen chairs, one rickety bookshelf filled with paperback thrillers and an old chess set. There was no TV, no cell signal, and no Wi-Fi. Perfect. I unpacked, made dinner, and watched the last bit of sunlight filter through the trees. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Then, just as I was locking the front door for the night, I noticed it. A small, worn key hanging on a nail by the basement door. It had a yellow tag attached to it, handwritten. Root cellar, do not use. I went to bed around 11 p.m., the fire burning low. The silence was beautiful, until it wasn't. Around 2:30 a.m., I woke up needing to pee. I trudged downstairs in the dark, using my phone's flashlight. The cabin creaked under every step. As I passed the kitchen to get water, I saw movement from the corner of my eye. The basement door was open. Just a crack, an inch, maybe 2. But I remembered clearly shutting it earlier. I walked over, nudged it shut, and placed a broom in front of it. I wasn't scared. Just unnerved. That changed a few minutes later when I got back in bed and heard it. 3 slow knocks. From the floorboards below my bed. Not random creaks. Not pipes. Knocks. Deliberate. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I tried to write it off. Maybe an animal under the cabin. Or, maybe I imagined it. To distract myself, I hiked a loop trail behind the cabin, hoping to get footage for the doc. About a mile in, I found something strange, a worn-down path branching off the main trail. Curiosity got the better of me. Following it led me to a small clearing. In the center was a makeshift fire pit, long abandoned. Around it, remnants of camping gear, rotted tarp, rusted tin cans, and an empty folding chair facing back toward the cabin. As I examined the area, I noticed something far more disturbing. A journal, half buried under leaves. The first few pages were ruined from rain, but some entries were still readable. One read: "He comes out at night. Never during the day. Don't make noise. Don't let him know you're awake." Another: "I saw him watching from the trees. Smiling. He never speaks." My stomach dropped. I didn't finish the hike. I went back to the cabin and locked the doors. That evening, as I tried to focus on editing, I heard footsteps. Outside. I turned off all the lights and crouched low, peeking through the front window. There was a man standing at the edge of the tree line. Too far to see his face clearly, but I could tell he was tall. Maybe 6 feet 4 inches. Wearing an old army-style coat. Just watching. He stood there for over 5 minutes, unmoving. Then he waved. Slow. Mechanical. I backed away and didn't sleep that night either. I couldn't take it anymore. That key by the door, labeled "Do Not Use," I had to know what was below me. I waited until morning. Then, with a heavy flashlight and my tripod in hand, I unlocked the basement. The air hit me like a wall, cold, stale, and damp. The wooden stairs creaked under my weight as I descended. The basement was huge, more like a bunker than a cellar. Stone walls. Low ceiling. No windows. On one side, a cot, blanket, and an old radio. Cans of beans stacked along the far wall. On the other side, something carved into the stone. A face. Not drawn. Carved. Deep gouges formed eyes, a smile, too wide, too crooked. Beneath it, in shaky script: "He lives in the quiet." Then I heard it. Footsteps. Coming from behind me, but I was alone. I ran. I packed everything I could in under 10 minutes, threw it in my car, and peeled out down the gravel path. I didn't stop until I was an hour out, back in cell service range. I called the property number. A man answered. His voice was low, raspy. "Carol's not available," he said. "Who is this?" I asked. He paused. Then, slowly. "You shouldn't have gone into the basement." I hung up and drove home. I told my friends. No one believed me. Weeks later, I went back to Stay Local to find the listing again. It was gone. Not just removed, erased. The entire Stay Local website was offline. I tried to trace the PayPal transaction. The email was fake. The address didn't exist. I even checked satellite maps for that area. Nothing. No record of Cabin 7. Just forest. But sometimes, when I'm up late editing, I feel it, that old cabin wood beneath my feet. That cold silence pressing on the windows. And once, just once, I swear I heard a knock, from under my floor. Cabins are supposed to be escapes. Places of peace, not prisons. But if you ever rent one in the middle of nowhere, check the basement. And if someone tells you not to go down there, believe them. I thought leaving that cabin would end it. I told myself I was safe back home in Portland, that I could pretend nothing happened. But you can't run from something that knows your name. You can't hide when it's already inside. Whatever lived beneath that cabin, it followed me. And now, it wants in. It's been 3 weeks since I fled that cabin in the Umpqua National Forest. At least, that's what I've been telling people. In reality, I never felt like I left it behind. I'm back in my studio apartment in downtown Portland, working on the final cut of my documentary. It should be finished by now, but every time I open the timeline, I find myself scrubbing through the cabin footage, frame by frame, looking for something. I don't know what. A shadow. A reflection. Proof that what I experienced actually happened. There's nothing. Just me. Talking to the camera. Alone. Until 2 nights ago. I paused on a frame of me walking past the basement door. And in the reflection of the dusty glass window, there was a shape. Tall. Blurred. Smiling. The first night it started, I wrote it off as an old building quirk. My apartment's in a converted textile mill, so creaks and pops are normal. But this was different. It was around 3 a.m. I was half asleep when I heard it. A soft whistling. Low. Breathless. It seemed to come from inside the wall next to my bed. It lasted maybe 15 seconds, then stopped. I turned on the lights. Checked the hallway. Nothing. The next night, it happened again. Same time. Same wall. This time, I recorded it on my phone. When I played it back, there was no whistle, just faint breathing and, at the end, 3 slow knocks. That's when I started sleeping on the couch. By the end of the week, things escalated. Every morning, small objects were out of place. My keys moved from the hook to the sink. The coffee table was shifted a few inches toward the front door. Once, I found the faucet running, even though I hadn't used it. I set up my camera, motion activated, infrared. I left it running all night. The next morning, I checked the footage. 4 hours, nothing. Then, at 2:57 a.m., the camera glitched. When the feed resumed, the camera had been turned slightly toward the wall. My keys were now in the center of the table. But there was something else. Just before the glitch, a tall figure moved through the frame. Wearing the same coat I saw in the woods. He was inside my apartment. Desperate for answers, I called a building inspector. Told him I heard noises in the walls and thought maybe there were rodents. He came by the next day. Mid-40s, flannel shirt, skeptical smile. After a walk-through, he said, "Well, you've got crawl spaces behind your walls. Pretty rare in these old places." I asked, could someone fit back there? He paused, scratched his beard. If they were thin. Quiet. Maybe. He tapped one of the walls. This one's hollow. There's a panel behind the bookshelf. Could be access. He offered to open it. I told him no. Not yet. Something about the idea of seeing what was behind that wall made me feel sick. The next day, I received a package I didn't order. No return address. Just my name. Handwritten. Sloppy. Inside was a small, rusted key on a string and a photograph. It was me. Standing in front of my apartment building. Taken from across the street. At night. On the back of the photo, one word. Basement. I hadn't been in the building's basement since moving in. Tenants rarely use it, just storage, boiler room, and an old maintenance area that was sealed off years ago. I couldn't ignore it anymore. That night, around midnight, I took a flashlight, the key, and went downstairs. The basement smelled like mildew and metal. My footsteps echoed through the concrete hallways. The deeper I went, the worse it got. I found a locked door near the back, old, corroded. I tried the key. It clicked. The door groaned open, revealing a stairwell descending into pitch black. I don't know why I kept going. Some part of me had to know. Had to end it. The stairs led to a sub-basement. Dirt floor. Rusted pipes. A room filled with old furniture and a mirror. Full length. Covered in soot. I wiped it off with my sleeve. Behind me, in the reflection, I saw him. Standing in the doorway. Smiling. I ran. Didn't look back. Just kept moving until I burst out onto the street, gasping in the cold air. I went to a friend's plaque. Crashed on their couch. Haven't been back since. But last night, my friend woke me up. Girl, she whispered. There's someone outside the window. I think he's smiling at me. I didn't go to the window. I didn't need to. I already knew what face she saw. Whatever lived under that cabin didn't just follow me home. It brought itself into my life. Into my walls. Into my dreams. I don't know what it is, or what it wants. But it knows my name. It knows where I live. And worst of all, it knows when I'm awake.